Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, what I like to do is try to create videos talking about things that I would have found helpful when I first started buying gold, silver, jewelry, flatware, hollowware, all these precious metal things when I'm out and about at garage sales and thrift shops. I started about 4 years ago now, almost 4 years ago now, and these are just little tidbits that I've picked up along the way that people have taught me and that I've found useful when I am picking these things up for cheap. Today, the video is going to be pretty simple. I've been cleaning, or at least attempting to clean, and one of the things that I've been doing is every time I find a bit of gold that I had tucked away and forgot that I tucked it away there, I've been putting it into one bag, and there was quite a bit of stuff in that bag, so I thought I would go through it. The main intent on this is that some of these things are neat, and I'd like to talk about them from a historical standpoint. And then other things, it's just a matter of, these are all things that I have verified are gold and that you might find useful to see where the markings are or when there aren't markings on them. So before I forget about some of the history on it, the first thing I'm going to talk about is this little pin right here. So you see this guy? Rescue. Got a little hook, got a little wing, and if we go ahead and unscrew the screw back here, you will see that we are 10 karat gold. Now this amusing little thing I found at, I'm not sure if you have them where you are, but where I am, we have a sort of a clearance thrift store where it's the last stop for things that are going to get thrown away. And they sell things by the pound. And I was looking at the hat bin and I saw a hat that had something shiny on it. And it was this. And the hat was a really messed up old, just like sort of a generic Vietnam veteran hat. And I saw this pin and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. And I looked at the back and I thought, oh, screw back, that's good. And pulled it off, 10 karat mark. I'm a happy camper considering that I was buying this at, what do they charge? It's like 45 cents a pound. So, what did I pay for this? Less than a penny. Basically nothing. And then it was fun to look up the history because these pins are apparently related to anyone who rescues someone else or is rescued by a Sikorsky, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, helicopter. It's a Lockheed Martin produced helicopter. And it's the big rescue chopper that goes out and picks people up and pulls them out of the ocean or pulls them out of wherever and rescues them. And apparently, if you get rescued by one in, I guess, any situation, it's a little unclear to me from what I could find online, they give you one of these little 10 karat pins to basically note that you're part of a very exclusive club, having been rescued by this particular awesome helicopter. And I thought that was a very cool thing, especially a very cool thing considering it was on a hat that was going to be thrown away, because the way that this particular store works is that anything that doesn't get sold gets chucked. So I saved this from the dump, and I'm very glad I did because it's a fun little piece of history. These other things are not so much historical. Well, I mean, we have our, and this is actually a fairly typical way to buy little dibs and dabs of gold, these little Freemason pins. Now, they're not all gold. These ones have been on the machine, and they are both 14 karat gold, I think. Yeah, there's a third one in here. A little guard pin. It's not much gold, but hey, gold is gold, and it all adds up. So when I see these things in like the pin bin for a quarter, I absolutely grab them because they're very frequently turn out to be 10 karat at least, but more often than not, I found these as 14. So when you see these things, definitely grab them. They're worth the quarter or dollar or whatever it is that they cost when you find them in a bin like that. We'll set those guys aside. And we will talk about this for two different reasons. So this is a gavel, and it's a guard pin. So you can see it's got this chain, and this chain would have gone off to another pin like so. So that if this pin got, actually this might have been the pin that was, no, I don't think so. So you've got that little loop right there, and it'll be hooked to that little loop that you see right there, so that if this one gets unpinned, This one saves it and just dangles. And that's why they call those a guard pin. This gavel motif generally indicates, or as far as I know, always indicates somebody's in charge of something. This one is 14 karat gold, and you might be mistaken in thinking there's a bunch of verdigris on it. This green color is usually a very bad sign when you're looking at something that you're hoping is gold, because it usually means that you've got verdigris or corrosion. The copper is corroding underneath the gold plate. In this case, though, that's not what's happening. This green is actually, if you look close, the decomposed foam out of a little container that the pin was in. When those, you'll find them, they're little square, I don't have any on hand, but they're like little square plastic jobs, and they have like foam inside, and then the pins will be in that foam. And given time and maybe heat, or I don't know what all else, they will decompose, and then they'll stick to the pins like this. So sometimes you get something that's actually gold, like this one. Now, the pin part isn't gold. If you were to, say, scrap this, you would cut off those bits, and then the top would just be your 14 karat. But yeah, it is actually a gold pin. Okay. Next, this one's just a necklace, and I honestly don't remember purchasing it. But if you are very new to jewelry, one of the things that's a really good sign is these higher quality clasps, these ones that look nice. And then this sort of like oval shape here, that on the clasp will usually contain some information for you. And we'll see on this one, it says, let's flip it around for you. It says, did I do it right? No, I flipped it and flipped it. There we go. 14 karat turkey. So if you find a necklace that looks really good, like this one is, there's no sign of plate coming through, the clasp is high quality, the workmanship is high quality, there's no green coming through, it feels like it's got heft to it. There's nothing indicating plate that I'm seeing on this. And then, of course, I've also put this onto the XRF machine to verify that it is 14 karat. That's a good example of finding a nice little necklace. And usually when I find these things, they're like jumbled up, they're tangled up with other necklaces. If you ever see like a rat's nest of necklaces at a garage sale for $5 or $1 or whatever, have a close look at it and look for those little tags. Those will usually indicate that it's silver or gold, or trying to fake it. Let's be fair, there are a lot of fakes, but it is a good sign to look closer. And that's what all of this stuff that I'm trying to relate is. These are for looking closer at things, not necessarily proof positive. The only real proof positive you'll get on most things is if you actually do an acid test or test it on an X-ray machine. Okay, let's continue through. Talk about just these little guard pins will come up sometimes. They're tiny little bits of gold. And this one I found interesting because the machine got a little confused by it, and I think you may be able to see why it got confused. You see there's two materials here. You've got one that's not shiny and one that is shiny. And the one that is shiny, and you can see it here, is a piece of 14 karat that's on a piece of 10 karat. So they wanted that effect of two different golds when they were making it. So, if you're looking to price something like that, is that 14 karat? Is it 10 karat? I don't know. But it's not marked as either. And I have a suspicion, this is just a suspicion, I'm hoping someone will be able to confirm this for me at some point, that some of these pieces aren't marked because they are this mix of materials. So because they were probably custom made or made to order, Actually marking them wasn't a necessity, and it was just confusing anyways. What would you mark it? 14 and 10K? That's just kind of weird. So if this was a guard pin that was just made for a specific order, specific purpose, and the person ordering it, trusted the jeweler, there's no reason to mark it, especially if it's not ever intended to be resold or sold commercially, which a lot of this unmarked, if not pretty much all of the unmarked gold, I think is basically not intended to be sold commercially. This is just a fun way to get a little dab of gold. This was in a broken jewelry bin, and you can see right there we have a marking, stamping. It's really hard to make out, and I confirmed that it is 10 karat. So I thought that was a real interesting clasp, and also, a nice little dab of 10 karat. I think I've talked about this previously. Don't walk away from things that you think aren't gold if that little voice in the back of your head is saying that could be gold. Look, flip them over and look close, and you might laugh. You'll definitely live, and you'll love having your little bit of gold. It never occurred to me before I was looking at this thinking, man, that's kind of shiny for a piece of trash jewelry. I wonder if that's gold fill. And I flipped it over, and sure enough, 14. Verified. Yep, 14. And the whole piece is 14 karat. So this was $1. You know what? I should weigh it. How much gold did we get for our $1? Let's see. Will this weigh up for me? There it is. Less than a gram of 14K, but I mean, still turning $1 into what is a gram of 14 karat now? I'd have to look at it. You can check the current gold price and figure it out. 14 karat is 58.5% gold, so it's definitely more than $1. I'll say that. If you watched one of my previous videos, you would have seen me grab this. Actually, it's sitting right here. This thing. You will have seen me actually destruct this, and I'll put a little, I think I could put a pip right here that will direct you to that video if I'm doing this YouTube thing right. But these are two that came off of gold fill, and they were both, in fact, 10 karat gold. I don't believe they're marked as such, but they came up front and back as 10 karat. And we even, we even dipped in to try to see if there was any different material on the inside. You can see there where I pinched it up to try to figure out if there's another material. And sure enough, they're little dabs of 10 karat. Now, they're not much 10 karat, and I will weigh them again because I cannot remember for the life of me how much they weighed. 0.436. So, it's not bad. If you're buying the pin for $1, 0.436 of 10 karat gold is not a bad purchase. Okay, got a few more pieces here we'll talk about briefly. I'm not sure what this one is. I tap a key. The main reason I included this one was I was hoping somebody might know what on earth this is. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm staring at it, that I tap a key is a telegraph, isn't it? We've got some electricity up at the top. I tap a key, and that's a telegraph. Click, 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 click. And then this one is 10 karat. Now, this one I thought was a really good example because it is 10 karat. But you can see how a 10 karat pin will get like it has green on it, but that green isn't from this pin. That green is from one of those boxes. So it's not that it has verdigris from itself breaking down, but it has verdigris from other things and possibly from the pin itself. That might be breaking down. But you look at the edge, and that's really nice. And you can tell from the edge, this is definitely 10 karat gold. But you wouldn't tell it from the back. And part of why I haven't washed this one up was I wanted to show you what something that actually is 10 karat, and is marked 10 karat, and is tested as 10 karat, can actually look like. Don't just dismiss something like this simply because it looks like it's got an issue. It looks like it's got verdigris. It may actually be a nice little chunk of gold for you. About apparently telegraphs. Most jewelry people will know what this is. Black Hills gold. You'll see this stuff all over the place. It's insanely popular. And you have these different color golds. You have green gold there, and rose gold, and then of course yellow gold. And these things are 10 karat, and they're very distinctive. They'll always be marked, as far as I can tell. There you go, 10 karat right there. And I think I've got another video. I'll try to add that. Maybe a pip will appear. I'm not very good at this YouTube thing sometimes, but it will be associated to this video of where I found this, actually. Again, from that store where you buy everything by the pound. And I noticed in the big bag of like random bric-a-brac and costume jewelry, I saw this. And they're so distinctive that once you start seeing them, you see them all over the place. And they're so popular that they are a really good way to get a little drib and drab of gold all over the place. They'll just kind of be in every nook and cranny. I find a lot of this stuff floating around. Okay, last two pieces in my I've been cleaning pile. This is a bit of rose gold. See that real coppery color? Calling it gold might be incorrect, because when we tested this thing, it only came up as like 20% gold, but it's not plate and it's not fill. It just doesn't have much gold in it. The reason it looks super coppery, but is still kind of shiny, is because this thing is actually a gold copper alloy, just not much gold at all. Now, that is definitely a what you call low carat, and they're definitely a nice antique. But they're not, there's not a huge amount of gold involved in the creation of pieces like this. And if something doesn't have enough of a gold content in it, the reason they're not marking it as like, 6 karat or whatever the carat figures out to be, is because that's not like something you can sell as gold. If it's not, I think at least in most countries, it's like a third gold. If it's not at least 33% gold, then you can't call it gold. You can't sell it as gold. So things like this were definitely made for specific purposes. In this case, Order of the Eastern Star. If I hold it up right for you. For specific purposes to order. So the metal that it was made out of maybe was specified, or maybe it was more like, well, we want it to behave in this way. We want it to be somewhat shiny, but we don't want it to be very expensive. And at the time, this is a fairly old pin. We're probably looking at, based on this latch, turn of the century, turn of the 20th century, probably wasn't necessarily a lot of money to make something like this. Or maybe it was actually made by someone associated with the local Eastern Star group in some fashion, to order for somebody. I think a lot of this jewelry that you find that's gold that isn't marked is probably of that origin. Now, the last piece is this one right here. This is one of the richer veins of untapped gold that I have personally found, and that's these little award pins. You get these pins for working at, Kmart for 20 years or whatever, and they give you a gold pin. I found these for grocery stores. I found these for whatever WMH is. They're pretty much these days always made by this... They'll always say a couple things on them. They'll say 10 karat. Most of them are made by CTO. This one's made by whatever that symbol means. They'll have stones in them. The stones might be real. In fact, you know what? We might do one of my favorite things here. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know how I am about black lights and rubies. Let's see. What do we got? Do we have real rubies in this? Oh, yep. Look at that. Boop. Look at those things glow. I'll never get enough of that. I don't think I'll ever get enough of that. But yeah, so there's real rubies in here. No, that's not to say they're not lab-grown rubies. I'm sure they probably are lab-grown rubies. I'd be shocked if they were anything but lab-grown. But, you know, a ruby is still a ruby, even if somebody made it. So you'll find these things all over the place. People get them as, you know, awards for working somewhere for a long time. And they don't really know that they're gold. Like, when they're given, like, the manager gives it to them, probably doesn't even know it's gold. Generally speaking, when they have years on them, in this case the stones are probably indicating how many years this is. This could be like 25 years, or I don't know what this indicates, but the stones might indicate how many years it is, or sometimes they'll have a number. The higher the number, the more likely is it's going to be gold. So if you see something that's like 50 years with I don't know, Sears or whatever, or Ford, yeah, I think I've got a Ford one around here somewhere. DuPont, you know, any of these big companies, if it's got a lot more years or a lot more stars or a lot more gems on it, snatch it up as fast as you can, because when you flip it over, it's probably going to say something like 10 karat. Some of them say 14, but in my experience, most of these things are 10 karat. And then again, I think we're looking at a piece that has, no, I guess it's just one piece. I'm not sure what they did to make that bit yellow gold and the rest of it white gold. Maybe they just plated part of it. Maybe some jeweler can tell me what's going on there. But oftentimes when you see two different colors of gold on this, it'll actually be two different pieces. But this is all just one piece, looks like. Or it could be that it's all yellow gold and then part of it is plated with rhodium, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But I did want to mention these because if you are out and about, or maybe you have one of these, or maybe your grandma has one of these, you know, just have a look. They're not, with as high as gold is, a little drab of gold like this is actually worth a fair bit. So if you have like you know, a grandma who's worked at a grocery store for a long time, you know, ask to look at her pin. You might find that the thing's actually gold, and that it's definitely something to either treasure personally or know that there's value in it, that can be extracted. All right, so that is my little house cleaning pile of gold. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If any of these things are things you want to know more about, just let me know, and I'll try to either answer in the comments, or we can always follow up with another video. If there's topics that you're interested in, please let me know. I hope you have a great day and you can use some of this information to go out and find yourself your own treasure.